Welcome to the Orozco Body and Mind podcast. I'm your host, Chris Orozco. And today we have a really, really special guest, somebody who, has helped me so much in my life for the last 3 years. He's somebody who, has so much wisdom and, his teachings have helped many, many people, not only, here in New Jersey, but all over the world. He's really, really. There aren't enough words to really describe the impact that he's had on my life and many other lives. So, without ado, welcome to the podcast, Albert. So, I wanted to, talk a little bit about your journey. We've talked privately about some of the situations you've been through in life, and I want you to just tell your journey and what you've had to overcome and why you decided to work on yourself for many many years. So if you could speak a little bit on that.
Sure. Um, I guess you know I started meditating and you know trying to find out what the essence of life is because of the suffering that I had when I was a child. I was born in a normal family, I would say, and the normal sufferings. Growing up, not feeling happy about many conditions around me, etc. So, basically this constant, unhappiness. Also, I lost my mother at a very early age. Then, my father remarried, and that contributed to me going to another home. So that, it created a very difficult, situation for me. And I wasn't really social in many ways. I kind of couldn't speak to a lot of people. I could relate and this and that. I would go to school and normal, but I wasn't really happy. Relating. I wasn't open. Like a normal child, and that made me go pretty much start looking inside. Looking what's really going on inside. Why I had to experience, this loneliness sometimes, or the sadness sometimes. That's how my journey started. I was very young, and I guess I started meditating very young. I would sit and look at the trees and be in silence. I guess that peace made it very comfortable for me. I love to be outside and do nothing. There was nothing to do, and I really enjoyed that. And then from that point forward, that was the beginning of my journey. But I guess I could say that it was because of my suffering.
Yeah, and you talk about the suffering, and then I often hear you speak on, people in general. They suffer, but they're not even noticing they're suffering. They kind of just walk through life, and somebody might have a lot of anger or envy, and we don't know the things that are inside of us until we actually, sit down and observe, ourselves. So why does meditation? Why does somebody who wants to know about their internal world, why should they meditate?
Well, it's a very difficult question nowadays. I think that now the world has changed so much in many ways. Now, I think that meditation initially, if I go back, I'm in my 60s already. I'm 62. I'll be 63. If you talk about 40 years ago, when I was in my 20s, meditation was a common thing to do. Like people would be interested in meditation. People understood what meditation was, even though if they didn't meditate, they know, okay, meditation has to do being silence and be silent and trying to understand the mind, etc., etc. But as times are changing so fast, and now there's so much information going on around, people don't understand what meditation is. So when we talk about meditation nowadays, it's just very difficult to get the message. People think that meditation is something that you do and then you feel okay, or something that you 5-minute thing, like go to TikTok, do your meditation, and then go home. So, but yeah, I think that now trying to understand meditation has become very difficult. So when we talk about somebody meditating, it's not as easy as that. It's like more we need to start looking at, well, uh, if the person or someone is interested in finding more meaning in their lives, if they tried the normal ways of finding happiness, with alcohol, drugs, and sex, and all the craziness, music, and going crazy pretty much. And if they're not happy with that, with that search, then maybe at that point they will be interested in meditation. Otherwise, it's very difficult to talk about meditation nowadays.
Yeah,
So
you're right.
yeah, we recommend, I recommend meditation, but like, I guess it has become like a very very selective, not, although it's for everybody, but now not everybody can understand the real significance of meditation. So you have to look at the individual needs, to see if they're ready for meditation, because there's a lot of things have changed when it comes to growing up. People are not exposed to life the way they used to. Now everything is through computers, everything is through videos. Like, no, but very few people really go out into the world and meet the world. The nature, and be outside, and get dirty with the mud and the rain, and all those things are so important. But so I guess because of that, it's become kind of difficult to introduce meditation to people.
Right, right. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think, it comes to a certain point where, like I can only talk for my experience, but, it was something like, my, like you said, our suffering and my suffering, where I was just like, I was into drinking, into smoking. I was, I had a lot of things inside of me, but there was something where I was like, there needed to be more. And that's when I found the meditation center and your teachings. And so the suffering really, I guess it comes to a certain point in a human life where they're like, I've had enough suffering, let me sit down and look inside and why I'm suffering. I wanted to transition into we you always talk about how everyone, right, every single human, right, wants more money, wants materialistic things, they want pleasure, right? Like we all want the quick things, we all want to have a better lives. We think that money gives us a better life, and to a certain extent it does, but it doesn't really bring true happiness, right? Like it's good to have money, it's good to buy things, it's good to, that's obviously money's a good tool, but it's not all that brings happiness. So I wanted to talk. You always talk about the true potential of a human being, that it goes way beyond just money, way beyond materialistic things, and we get caught up, I guess, in the rat race of like trying to be at the top, trying to go over people, and try to. You always say about climbing the ladder. So what is the real potential, right, for a human being? Would you say?
Okay, that when we are growing up, every single human being, we all come with this feeling about life. We all have this sense of that there's something that we have to achieve and do. Each individual, and we come with this idea. Okay, probably that we all come to make difference somewhere. We come to do something meaningful. But as as time goes by, we begin to forget that sense, that there's something special about ourselves, and then we get caught up. We get caught up, because it, all this pressure that we have in society about like having, doing, experiencing things, and it's just too much pressure. So we basically forget the sense of meaning through being who we are, and understanding that life is a beautiful experience as we are. And then we start adopting this all these identities. We become jazz lovers, and then rock and roll lovers, and then I don't know, football, baseball, and yeah, we become many things. And then of course It may seem like it's a very, you know, uh, beneficial for us at one point, but we have forgotten the initial and the most important thing, which is that essential thing that we are from the very beginning. So we cannot, so we get completely disconnected. So but yeah, so if we are to go back and regain that sense of like, okay, I'm complete. Life is beautiful and everything is okay. And then if we go back and regain that trust in life, then that's how we can understand our true potential. Because, as we begin to adopt, certain, requirements to be happy, I need to have this, and I need to have that, and we have many things that we uh, believe that we need to be happy, but and then we struggle and then we fight to have them. Once we have them, then that's it. You realize that you want something more and something more, but never, and then we die. We all die and uh, never realize that we just forgot. Got lost. In all this many things that we thought that we could become. Instead of like being who we are.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, like you said, we truly sometimes really don't. We get caught up in, and I guess the things of the world, and we don't realize like we have a soul, and our soul is what really we keep, for after death, and it's the only thing we can work on. If somebody, who's let's say has been doing things kind of not in the proper way. They're into a lot of bad habits. They're suffering a lot. You always say that eventually, you get to a point in life where your consciousness or life will be like you've kind of it'll show you like you've kind of been doing things the wrong way. So why does life do that? Why can't we just like why does life force us to look inwardly and not like what I'm saying? Why does life ask us to look inwardly and as we do?
Well, yeah, not no, it doesn't happen to everybody. That's the thing. Many people can get into all kinds of bad habits, like you say, but life is not going to interfere. But only a few lucky ones. Something will happen in your life that will make you take a look. Okay, what am I doing? Like that moment of realization. But that's a very fortunate thing to happen because it doesn't happen to everybody. So life is not interfering. We are allowed to do whatever we want. There's no, but the consequences of our actions is what we have to be aware of. Because we don't understand the law of cause and effect. So we are here to learn all those things. Especially how meaningful is every action moment to moment. Everything that we say, everything that we do is very meaningful. So we're here to learn that. So we are allowed to do anything that we want, but eventually we have to experience the consequences of our actions. That's when we realize that okay, there's good actions, there's bad actions, but um, before that, there's no other way to learn. We can learn intellectually the meaning, the intellectual meaning of things, but unless you really feel the pain of certain things that you've done in the past, then at that moment you become aware of the how significant your actions are. And also, if you do good things, and then you receive the good consequences of your good actions, then you will see how meaningful the good actions are. So but that's life is about experiencing all individually, moment to moment, and it's only through experience that we understand life. So not everybody gets the chance, like only I have to say that, even though we are all invited to understand those things and to live that way, but, not everybody gets the opportunity. It's not that life is, rejecting or discriminating. It's just that only a few people become interested in knowing, finding their true essence, which is kind of
Wow.
sad. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow, that's I never knew that. Only a few, who are, get that privilege, I guess, to really
Yeah.
And we think like, that's a bad thing when something like that happens, but it's like no, it's like, God or life showing you, like you need to be you have more potential in yourself. You have more of a future. So you talked about the law of cause and effect, which is the law of karma, right? Can you explain a little bit about karma and why our karma, why we must create good karma instead of bad karma for from now until if we want good things, good results in our life.
That's the so we live in a planet, and we see how things work in this planet. You plant the seed, and you plant the apple seed, then you get an apple tree, and then you get the apple. So you plant the seeds, and the fruits that you're looking for will come eventually when you get the results. So that's the nature of life. Life you plant the seed, and then you get the results. It applies to your actions. It applies to your how life works. So karma represents the opportunity to create something. So we are always creating. We have to learn to create. That's what karma comes in, because if we just go doing things all the time without understanding that we're creating, then eventually we realize that we have created many things and in no particular order. Most people do many things in their lives, but they never really get to create anything. They pay the rent, and they go to work, and they probably have a family, but there's no creation. There's many bits and pieces that sometimes may be beautiful from the outside, but when you really look inside, there's not good communication, or there's probably not enough love, etc. Because that creation is not complete, and it will only be complete if we are aware of how our actions affect others and how our actions affect ourselves. So when we talk about karma, it's basically becoming aware of the creation that I'm making, I'm creating moment to moment through my actions. So, and then if I want to see good results, then I have to, in quotes, say I do good actions. If I if I see painful results or painful situations in my life, it's because I've done things unconsciously without realizing that I'm hurting someone or that I'm hurting myself. So eventually, life has to, basically, show me that okay, those actions that I did in the past were wrong. Now I have to face some suffering. So yeah, I guess that's the human dilemma. Like we all want to be happy, but don't connect happiness. Most people don't connect happiness with our actions. We think that happiness comes from something else. But yeah, happiness is directly connected to the way we live, the way we eat, the way we act, the way we behave, everything that we do.
Mm,
I guess that's a good way of putting karma. You can study karma for years.
yeah.
It's not as simple as that, because there are levels and there are levels and there are levels.
Right, right. And I think, yeah, what you said, what you said is right. Like and also like we think that our karma or the things we do now will show up tomorrow, right? So we're like, oh, if something bad didn't happen to me tomorrow, I guess my karma is done. But eventually, you might
Right.
not see it tomorrow, but eventually you'll see it, down the line, whether it's good or bad. Let's say we do a good action here, you might not see it tomorrow and a week from now, but eventually it comes back. I think you said to me once, like the actions that we do could take up to even 2 years for it to
Yeah.
show up. So I want to transition into love. Love, we preach. You preach at the meditation center how important love is for a human being's life. Can you talk a little bit about love and why love is really what we should all strive to be? Loving people, loving to our family, loving to our friends, sharing the love with the world. Not only sometimes you say that we restrain a love to only our family members and we don't really share with the whole world. Like we don't realize like we're in this human planet with other beings. Let's be loving to everybody. So can you talk about love?
Sure. Well, that's basically Um, but every single human being on this planet has, has been looking for love. Well, that's the reason why we're here. All of us. People talk about God being love. Okay, fine, that's one way of putting it. But what is love? That's the question. So, you know, what is it? But it comes from many different angles because some people think that love is getting, for example, a mother is taking care of the child, and the child feels love because he's getting attention. So the child may think that that is love. It is love. When somebody is getting healed by someone, that person may feel loved because that that's also love. So love is many things. It's like many things that we do in our daily lives, and many things that we do in general is love. So I guess love is the art of living, in harmony with yourself, with everybody around you, and with every single thing that is in the world. So I guess when you are able to learn that, okay, people and beings want to be happy, and you can contribute to that. That is love. And when you can also, if you feel that you want to be happy and you can create your own happiness, that is also love. But so it's like, I guess it's just like this symphony. You have the violin, and then you have the trumpet, and you have many instruments. So love has to do with learning to live our lives in such a way that you know we create beautiful music, with our families, with our loved ones, with their children or parents, and so on and so forth. Even at work, when people that we work with, all those things, it's all about love. But yeah, but starts with appreciating your life. You
Yeah.
know, understanding your life is beautiful, and then if you have that sense that life is beautiful and your body is beautiful, and then you need to take care of yourself in a good, healthy way, that love begins with you. I guess I could say, we
Yeah.
can go on and talk about love, and many people will say many things, but we can start with that.
That's amazing. Yeah. Um, yeah. No, I think, like you said, there's a harmony in our lives. Like you said, that was a good example of the instruments, how they play that. That's how we should have, like, our family, our health, our our practices, our taking care of our body. That was really beautiful. Something that really stuck with me, when we've talked and we've been on, I've been around a couple of retreats, like five or whatever. Something that we talk about a lot is values, and why developing, even just one value could bring a lot of many gifts to our lives. So, can you explain to our viewers, why we need to work on first of all, what are values, and how should we work on them, and why is it important for us to develop the right values?
Oh yeah, that's you're talking about a lot of deep insight. Uh, yeah, it's values. Like our parents. They did so much work with us. They really tried to give us a good direction. They taught us values in the sense of, like, okay, well, don't lie. Be honest. Be kind. Say hello to come in. So values basically are those parts of your being which are always, bringing, this completeness, and it's bringing this it's always bringing this sense of caring. That you care about your environment. So, because when we live without caring, that's when our values begin to fade. So values are those elements in ourselves that represent the goodness of our heart. So we have many values, but so we can have honesty, for example, as a value, and that it's a part of our hearts. It's like a diamond, has many facets. So honesty is like one side of the diamond, but when you are looking at the diamond from that side, then honesty shines. So you shine as a human being. So your values are always making you shine, and not only to be happy and to be beautiful, but to also to help and to contribute to the lives of others. So values are, you could say, like what God is within. Like you say, love is the all these values working together, and so yeah, when we talk about values, we have to understand that if we can find these good things in ourselves, that are there to help us, create a good life, then we can call them values. Discipline, for example, is a good value, or perseverance is another value.
Mm.
So if we understand, if we start looking at life from the foundations, from okay, what are the things that make my life good? So those are values. Okay, honesty, discipline, perseverance. So we can say in the beginning that the values are the things that can help you create a beautiful and strong.
Oh yeah, yeah, I love that. That always, we've always talked about that, but I've really, really landed with me when I was like, I did an example. Where I was like, no, I'm gonna work on discipline this 1 week, and then I was like, okay, then I gotta get up at this time, and I gotta, sometimes when my mind is telling me not to do something, I'm gonna do it, and then
Right.
it's we don't think about like that as like working on ourselves, but that's a really extreme way to work on yourself, developing the right values, or
Oh
if
yeah.
you're want to develop like gratitude, right? Like waking up every day and experiencing gratitude. That's something you can work on. I want to talk about our bodies, right? I've been able, and I say this, to make some positive changes in my body, and I think, you always talk about body being an instrument that takes you through life, right? If our bodies are not healthy, if our bodies are, not having the right nutrition, if we're tired, if we don't have energy, right? Our life, suffers. So why is it important to have, a well body? Like, why is it important to have a good body and to have a healthy body?
Wow, and that's basically that's the beginning. Like if we're really looking, if we start questioning, what's the meaning of life and where are we going, we have to start with this body, because this body is the vehicle that allows you to do all the things that you want to do, and every experience that you have in your life is going to be good or not so good depending on the quality and the condition of your body. So if your body is able and healthy and really functioning properly, then your experience is going to be good. If your body is not, for some reason, with like most of us, the liver is not, or the stomach, it's not completely, healthy, then life is not as good. Like you're always, it's not as pleasant. So we begin by understanding that the body is the first principle, because life begins with your body, and then everything that you do depends on the quality of your body. If you're a healthy individual, then you can run, and then you can have do many things in your life, and you're going to be able to accomplish many things. So that for once, the physical part of it, but also, there are when you come into meditation, you realize that the body is also, like the opportunity to know uh, also what's within, within this body. And then we start talking about the soul, and we start talking about spiritual development, but it's inside the body. So if your body is good, then you can go in easy. But if your body is not as healthy or as good, then it's going to be difficult for you to be interested in going in and in exploring and enjoying your own spiritual nature, which is inside your body. So the body is important, and not only important but essential, because without this body we cannot do anything. It's just the first step
Yeah.
in our exploration.
Yeah, no, I think yeah, like you said, and sometimes people don't realize, how unhealthy we are. We don't realize that it's not just about, what we put in our mouth, but also like what we hear, like what we see. Like that's also part of our, how our everything in our body, And we just I feel like, people just go or us, me, we go through life and without realizing, man, we should have a Ferrari of a body, not
Yeah.
not a
Yeah.
1850 car or something like that. So I have a few more questions, and I know you're busy, but we talk about at the center like working on ourselves, right? And the things we need to do to grow not only in our life, but spiritually, mentally, whatever, however you want to grow. We should always work on ourselves. Why do you think people don't like to work on themselves? What do you think is the number one factor on why when working on ourselves could be, you've said it before, it could be, very inspiring, it could be really fun. Like we're our own projects, right? We should want to be better. Why do you think people lack working on themselves?
Well, there's many reasons, I mean, but the main reason is painful. It's painful to accept that we need to learn. That we are here to learn. We don't know everything. We think that we can go to the moon. We think that we can go to Mars. We can have supercomputers. We can have the electric cars. We think all those things. So we have this false sense of all knowing individuals. Even in our daily lives, we think that we have all the answers, and it's not easy to say, well, I need to learn. I need to be better. I need to become a better individual. Like looking at relationships, for example. One of the things that we emphasize is like, okay, the art of relating. Because you go to school to learn math and physics and many things, but there is not one single class to learn how to relate to another human being. So we live our lives, but nobody has been taught or learned how to relate to another human being. We think that we know, and we see what happens. Like every day we are having arguments with people, the people that we love and the people that we don't love. So it's we people don't work on themselves. I think that I'm beginning to work on myself. I don't think that I've done it yet. I think that I'm struggling to eventually accomplish that. But people don't do that because it's painful. It's painful to say, "Oh, let me take my first step." And pride is very strong, and we prefer to be wrong than to accept that we make mistakes, and that's probably the main reason why most people will never work on themselves.
Yeah, no, it's true. We don't realize like we have so much pride, right? And it's like we'd rather not even get started and waste 30, 40 years than to look in the mirror and be like, you know what, to accept, hey, I have to be better. I have to do something with myself. But once we take that first step, it could become, like you said, once you take a few steps and you start gaining momentum, it could become a really fun experience where we could come to the point where we're actually enjoying, every day we wake up and we're like excited for the day and for what we have to do. I have two more questions for you, Albert. One is if you could share, something with our viewers that you would like to share with the world, about something that you've learned in your life or something you want to share about, every all the knowledge you've gained, and one message. What would you say? What would you say?
Well, I can say for sure that one of the things that I've learned is to be kind. I think kindness goes a long way. That understanding kindness is essential in my life for me to be happy. I've seen, experience all kinds of suffering. I think we all do experience a lot of suffering, but I think that those moments of kindness that we receive from people from people that would love us and people that help us, and at the same time, when we share that kindness with others, it's, I guess, at that moment we can experience the real meaning of life. I think for me, kindness, is the most essential thing. I believe, that's something that I have learned.
Wow, that's really awesome. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. We sometimes we forget, we think of kindness. Oh, it's like so simple, but it's like being kind every day is a beautiful thing of moving through life. Last question. Obviously, you've worked on yourself over, I mean, 25 years. You're a teacher now. You've been all over the world. You've helped so many people across all countries, and you inspire literally thousands of people, help transform many lives. Um, well, how do you want to be remembered at the end of your life, or how would you want people to remember Albert, as all the things you have done in this lifetime?
Well, I guess I'm gonna give you the a question that you never heard before. I don't want to be remembered. I don't need to be remembered because I guess the essence of meditation is like live your life the best way you can. Do your best, every moment, and then that's enough. If people want to remember you by, you know, the good things that you did, great. If they just want to continue with their lives and just want to don't remember you, that's okay also. I mean, but I guess the real essence is like do your best every day, and your own heart, you're taking your heart with you wherever you go. So and then that satisfaction is always with you. And yeah, it's great to have people, that the people that love you and appreciate you, great. But most importantly is, like doing your best. So I want to be remembered as, okay, well, the guy did his best at this, as much as he could.
Albert, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you have a really busy schedule, but like I said at the beginning of the podcast, you've become somebody really special in my life, and I'm
Thank you.
so
Thank you.
happy that we've been able to cross paths, and you've really helped me, with so many things, and I've helped, like I said before, so many people, and we just wanna we I just wanna say thank you from the bottom of my heart, and you've been somebody very special. So I hope that we have many, many more years together to do a lot of work, and yeah, continue health, continue happiness, and continue blessings.
That's great, Chris. I mean, thank you very much. Yeah, wonderful. Let's continue.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, Albert. We'll talk
All
soon.
right. Thank you.